Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here on Play on GAA with me, Seamus, Brady and Luke Peyton. And in this video we're going to run through all of the GAA action which took place over the weekend. And by God, Luke, we have an insane amount of games to get through, so we are just going to go through them relatively briefly, game by game, a couple of points on each, because we are also going to touch on the Hurling Finals which took place over the weekend as well, at minor level and at under 20 level. But first of all, how did you enjoy the weekend's action? Which game kind of stood out to you as being the one to watch?
It's like it was a strange weekend. And I think a lot of the I suppose the coverage concentrated on the low attendance. There was a lot of stuff online as well about negative tactics, teams dropping off kickouts as well. I'm sure we're going to probably talk about that a lot as it goes on as well. But I think a lot of it was kind of dominated by talk on, and like I probably shared the same thing a little bit with the football championship. Like, have we got the structure wrong? I think we might have done this year. That I think like there's potential with it, but like this sort of situation where three teams get out of four, like there's very low jeopardy when it comes to these games, and there is a bit of a feeling of friendly matches off them a little bit too. So I think this weekend was kind of a bit of a strange one. I think in a way that a lot of people were kind of discussing that, and I don't think any of the games really kicked too much into life. I think in the football championship, and yeah, there was kind of it was a strange weekend where some teams didn't perform too well, like Kerry, Mayo kind of didn't play to what I think people probably thought they would. Then on the other hand, Dublin played well this weekend, but they haven't played well the week before that too. So it's very, very hard to get a read on the football championship right now at the moment. And so as a result, kind of in a way, the game that kind of stand out to me most was that 20 hurling final, which I thought was excellent. But I think I think it just probably wasn't the greatest weekend of football. I think we'll have more exciting weekends of football ahead of us going forward.
Yeah, well, let's dive right in. We're going to talk about probably what could have been the shock of the weekend if Louth had pulled it off, but they just fell short. Mayo 14 points, Louth a goal and 10 at McHale Park in Castlebar. That is the one half of the action from Group A. The other game in Group A was Kerry 114, Cork 15 points at Porky Queeve. So we're going group by group with it. You mentioned both of these teams underperformed, and I absolutely agree with you. Both of these teams underperformed. But as the comment here says, from Denise, Louth were at their very best. Mayo were average. Positive for Mayo that they were still able to win the match when not at their best. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at Mayo in this game, it's interesting when you see how good they were against Kerry and then how close
Yeah.
Louth took them in this game. Like, how can one team play so well and then drop the level that much? But Louth were fantastic as well. But still, Mayo, Aaron pointed it out that Louth adopted a similar game plan that Roscommon did, and Roscommon were able to beat them. Is that game plan almost like Mayo's kryptonite at this stage?
Oh yeah, like I think so, and like they just don't seem to be able to work out how to break down these pack defenses at all. And like I think much to people's surprise in the Leinster final, Loud decided to go man for man with Dublin. And I think look going into the round robins here now and stuff that like I think we probably knew that Mickey Hart wouldn't go back to that again. And look, there was a bit of criticism being labelled at Loud, but I think that's kind of crazy to label any sort of criticism at Loud that they've a county their size, smallest county in Ireland, one of the smallest playing pools, managed to get Mayo within 1 point playing the way they did. And they caused Mayo all sorts of problems. And yeah, look, Mayo probably were in control of the game the whole way through, up to that late push by Loud to draw it close in the end. But Loud stay in the game, and look, they did everything they possibly could to. They gave themselves the best chance of getting a result out of that game. But yeah, like you said, Mayo just really seemed to struggle with it, and that's why, like, it's all well and good for Mayo producing these performances where they blow Kerry off the park because Kerry are playing the same style of football as them, and Kerry are matching them in those type of environments. But later on during the year, when they play Galway, when they play Roscommon, when they play Derry, for instance, as well, like do they have the goods to break them down? Like in those type of games, that's the big question to label at Mayo at the moment. Because I think, look, going on as the way it is at the moment, if they were to play again tomorrow, I'd have Mayo beating Kerry. But like when it comes to those teams that you're talking about there, then look, then it's a 50-50 game, and it comes down to whether they develop more kind of ability to break down these pack defenses because they there is no existing evidence I think out there to show that Mayo can consistently break down these teams and consistently beat them. Because you look through Connacht in recent years, Galway are constantly turning them over. Roscommon have been turning them over frequently too as well. So look, that's the big thing labeled at Mayo, and like that's why I probably can't say I have them as my All-Ireland favourites at the moment, because I just don't see the evidence that says that they are consistently able to break these teams down.
Yeah, well, it reminded me a lot of what their 2017 form was. An amazingly impressive performance was followed by a performance where they almost completely dropped the ball. The Kerry game, on the other hand, against Cork, again, similar, a big team not reaching the level we expected.
Yeah, definitely. And I think this is starting to become a little bit worrying for Kerry in that, yeah, they weren't good against Mayo. They were beaten by Mayo in that game, and look, they were beaten comfortably in that game. But I think watching that, I said, look, this Jack Connor's going to have a stick to beat them with now as well, and you're going to see performance levels increase. But look, to be honest, they didn't really show any sort of. You could nearly say the performance was nearly even worse, I'd say, against Cork than what it was against Mayo, because at least against Mayo they did show something. But like I know, look, they come out with it on the right side of that win. Look, we're probably going to talk about the penalty incident in a second, which look, I think was ridiculous, to be honest. But
Yeah.
look,
I think by the letter of the law,
yeah,
by the letter of the law with that decision, yes, it was. But here's the issue. Niall Scully was brought down in the Dublin Kildare game in a pretty much identical incident on the same day, and it
yeah,
wasn't given. So how can Cork prepare for that?
yeah. But like that's the thing is that I think the Scully one was even more blatant, and that was given as because Cork had covering defenders coming back as well. I think it was Brian O'Driscoll's coming back as well. But I think, look, if he gets by Powter there, I think O'Driscoll's in a position to make a tackle or at least to make a play in the ball there as well. Whereas the Scully instance, there's no one there as well. But look, this is the thing is that if you look at that rule, has that rule really been ever applied? Like, there's been
No.
some scenarios, but I can't really remember too many off the top of my head of examples of that. So I think when it happened, everybody's like, "What? Like, what the fuck?"
Yeah, no, it was obvious because you can always tell none of the Kerry players were looking for it.
Yeah. And look, and that's the thing is like, I suppose, look, technically by the letter of the law and the rule was brought in for that. I don't know. Should we be applauding the ref for saying that, look, he's actually applying the rules there, or do we say it's a general problem? I just think if it's not going to be applied in any other game as well, I think it's pretty scandalous that that sort of you can't just cherry pick these rules as well. And one ref saying, "Yeah, I like this rule, I want to implement it," and then another ref saying, "I don't like this rule, it's too controversial for me, I'm not going to implement it. I'll just give them a tap over free instead as well." So look, I just think the lack of consistency is very, very frustrating, and especially for Cork, considering you take away that goal, it's a 2 point. They Kerry win by 2 points, and Cork lose basically because of
Yeah.
that penalty as well. So look, that penalty's tapped over the bar, then it would have finished the draw game. I know that's not the way football works and everything like that as well, but Cork can go home thinking about that as well. So like, I do think that was a big moment, I suppose, in the game. But like as a wider discussion of Kerry, like performance levels are miles off. And yeah, look, with their quality of player they have as well, you have to say they're still contenders. But I think we're only considering them as serious contenders based on what they've done in previous years, not in this year's performances.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think we're only basing them on contenders as, because of what they've done in previous years and because of how good they were last year. But yeah, that is Group A wrapped up now. The 2 rounds there in Group A. We have one more to go. It's the Táilteann Cup that is all wrapped up. Moving across then to Group B, we had two games here as well. Tyrone, 13 points. Armagh, 11 points at Healy Park in Omagh. And Galway 20 points, Westmeath 12 points from Cusick Park in Mullingar. So starting with the Tyrone Armagh game, what did you make of this one? And also, was it a red card?
I think it was, yeah. I think it
Yeah, I
was.
agree.
I think you just can't put your knee in someone's head and say and feel like you're hard done by. I just don't think you can. Like I think it's look, I think it was silly stuff, and it doesn't like. And some people are saying kind of it looks bad, slow down. But anytime you put your knee in someone's head, and I think he knew. I think Reno Neal knew what he was doing as well, applying the knee down on his head too as well. He did. It wasn't a freak accident thing as well. He did know what he was doing there. So yeah, no, to be honest, I don't think they can have any complaints. And look, in a game like that, where look a tight, low-scoring game like that, a battle like that as well, a red card is really costly. And then it also comes down as well, the Galway game coming up as well. Armagh going to be without him as well too. So yeah, very very costly kind of moment of madness, I'd say, really from O'Neill. And yeah, I think it was poor kind of poor judgment on his part. It did have a decent enough impact on the game, but yeah, I think he'd probably I don't think you can really complain about it at all. It's like for Tyrone, I think they needed the win. They grinded it out. I suppose in the end, I thought Niall Morgan in particular was brilliant, but yeah, no, look, I think look, job done for Tyrone. But at the same time, look, in a game like that, you would love if there was more on the line, I suppose, like an Ulster Championship type feel to it as well, packed out crowd and everything like that as well. But like then at the same time, even if both teams kind of lost, we knew going to the last round they'd have still have good stuff to play for, and there's not too much jeopardy. So yeah, that's kind of just my frustrations a little bit with this system. Is imagine that group right now with Tyrone, Armagh, Galway, Westmeath, and only two teams coming out of it, and we're going into a final round of fixtures, and only two teams are coming through. It'd be absolutely brilliant, and the tension would be unbelievable. It would have that kind of hurling Munster Championship type feel to it as well, with that actually kind of war of four teams that like, because like to be fair to Westmeath, but not them a second. They were, I think,
Yeah,
they
look at that.
up.
In my opinion, the only team in this group giving it everything is Westmeath.
Yeah, look, and it's an interesting point. Like, I think Galway's level of consistency. I think we'll get on to them as well in a second. I think that they've probably been the most consistent team in the country. I think their highs are lower than other teams, but I think they are the most consistent. But then, like, if there was this position where only two teams would be getting through next week, like imagine those round of fixtures there coming into it next week. Like, and I think Armagh would be in serious, serious trouble if so. But look, unfortunately, that's not the way the structure's worked out a little bit, and it probably has impacted the two kind of games in this group a little bit this weekend as well. But the quality, because I don't think Armagh and Tyrone probably lived up to what it could have been maybe as well. It was a very it was quite pedestrian at times too, and there wasn't. I know towards the end of the game as well that Armagh were kind of tapping over scores and quite happy, nearly playing for goal difference a little bit as well. So there wasn't that kind of do or die feel to it at the end a bit, unfortunately.
Yeah, and then Galway Westmeath. What did you make of that game? Westmeath right in there for long periods of the game. 46 minutes. Ray Kennellan gets sent off, and then Galway went on the tear, dominating from then to the finish.
Yeah, look, and that is the key moment, I think, and that was the thing. Was like I thought Westmeath really put up in the first half, particular as well. Really tore into them too, but yeah, no, Galway are motoring along quite nicely. They've won Connacht. They're winning all their games that they have to win as well. They were professional when they beat Tyrone in round one in the first week. I know as well, probably assisted by a red card in that game too. So look, they've two wins in the group, two early-ish red cards in there do help them. So like they're a hard team to read. They are a hard team to read. But like the thing is with Joyce this year, they are getting over the line. They're pulling these results out of the fire. Very, very hard to know what their peak is too, though. Like if when it comes down to it up in Croke Park, like are they going to be a good enough team to beat the big dogs? Like when they go up as well, the traditional teams, Kerry, Dublin, who seem to come alive in Croke Park, do Galway have enough firepower to beat them? I'm still not fully convinced by them, and that's probably why, although you look at the results and you say they are the team that are probably playing the best football at the moment in the country, I don't know if you can have them just yet anywhere at the top of the pile.
Yeah, and a very good point made here by Denise about Galway. Everyone is saying Galway are so good. Truth to be told, they have not been tested. Very poor as common in the Connacht Championship. Sligo in the final. 13-man Tyrone and Westmeath. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the Tyrone game was so impacted by the red card and so impacted by the black card that I feel like that game, that kind of almost took care of business for Galway. But that is putting them in a good position because they're flying along nicely now and they haven't had to show their hand yet, really. When you look at other teams that have put in big performances, like Mayo, for example, they've really made other teams sit up and take notice of them now, whereas Galway are still relatively flying under the radar, where we don't know what their best strengths are. Moving across then to Group C, we had two wins here. Two games that kind of went according to plan for the favourites in these games. Dublin 22 points, Kildare 13 points at Nolan Park, and Roscommon 121, Sligo 111. So we'll start with Dublin Kildare at Nolan Park, and surprisingly, Dublin didn't know the lunch ladies in this stadium, but still managed to beat Kildare. But what did you make? What did you make of this game?
Yeah, no, look, I don't know. Glenn Ryan can't have any excuses for this one now. I think, but like,
Again, no
yeah,
Kevin Feely, no Daniel Flynn, no Jimmy Hyland. Just a side
but
note.
that's the thing. I think Feely came on maybe for the last couple of minutes, maybe no real impact on the game, but like I think look, this is Dublin kind of down to a T a little bit this year. Is that they're following up poor performances with a somewhat more impressive one as well. It's the exact same pattern as earlier on in the year. Is when look they scrape over Kildare in Croke Park, then they hammer Loud in the final. Then round one they really poor against Roscommon. Roscommon should beat them. Then they follow it up with a more impressive performance against Kildare. Yeah, look, they looked a lot better. I don't know if that's just down to Kildare probably missing a few, looking, and they did look poor. I thought Kildare as well. So it's a tough one to read into. I think one thing you can take out of it as well, a few injuries adding up for Dublin a little bit. So that's a bit of a concern. But what I think you'll see now is that all those players that pick up knocks like Khan, Kilkenny, uh, John Small, these type of players, Jack McCaffrey, Merchant still not back, Davy Byrne, none of them will feature for the Sligo game. Dublin can go out, they can play their Killian O'Gara's, they can play Colin Baswell's form's been really good, they can play them as well, and these players will still have enough to get them over the line, and then they can worry about the quarterfinals as they go on from it there as well. So look, I think they're in a grand enough position, I suppose, Dublin, but like if they can produce a bit of consistency, I think look you still look at the starting 15 and like you can still say that if they have all 15 of their best players out, it's an all Ireland winning team. But like, is the consistency there? Is the coaching that they're getting? Is the setup tactically good enough? That's the question for me at the moment as well. They can be encouraged, I think, by the likes of Colin Baswell's form this year, who finally is kind of delivering on what I think Dublin fans were kind of hoping for him to produce in a long time. He is finally bringing that consistency to his game, and I think as the year goes on, he's got a serious chance of nailing down that Spartan spot. So yeah, look, it was job done by Dublin, and they did what they had to do. They were ruthless enough, I suppose, when taking the scores. They did turn down an awful lot of goal chances. They were happy to tap a lot over the bar, which, like, I suppose is a bit of a change from previous years. But look, at the same time, it's job done. But again, it's like every other team. I feel like I've already talked about here so far. No clue where they're at. No clue at all where they're at.
It seems to be a common feature with the
Yeah.
championship. One team that I think it's becoming a bit clear where they are at is that they're one of the top sides is Roscommon. They were in the other game in this group. They beat Sligo by 121 to 111, winning by 10 points. Enda Smith was the absolute spearhead of that final quarter push. Now, it looked like Sligo were about to bloody them up when Alan Riley hit the goal in the 49th minute, but Roscommon responded with 1-7 to blow them away in that final quarter. The goal coming from Dylan Ruan in the 63rd minute. So Dublin bounced back from the draw with a win. So did Roscommon, and a very impressive one at that.
Yeah, definitely. And it is a good point in that they are playing to a really good level. And look, I do think that their turnaround this year has been absolutely remarkable, I suppose. And yeah, I think people kind of did sit up a little bit when they came up to Croke Park. Well, they came up to play Dublin anyway. And look, we've all seen what Dublin have done to Roscommon in recent years in Croke Park as well, that they've been absolutely bludgeoned in Croke Park by Dublin. And that kind of phase of play when they're keeping the ball for 6 minutes, those chances to score at the end a little bit as well. But this isn't the same kind of Roscommon that we've seen in recent years that have gone up to play the big teams as well, but they're able to put it up to them as well. Yeah, Sligo gave them a good kind of game, and think in the first half, and like you said as well, the score just after half time as well. But look, Roscommon's class showed through here as well, and yeah, look, they're going a good route here as well. Yeah, they'll go into place Kildare in their last game in the group now, and look, based on what we've seen, I think it could be similar scoreline with 9 or 10 points that they should beat Kildare by based on form, based on what we're seeing, based on the ability of the teams as well. So look, I think we're going into a situation where I think look, Dublin and Roscommon going to the last two games in the group here should probably be winning those two games by a similar margin of victory, I suppose.
Yeah, and like one of the key things that I've noticed there is that's twice now that Kildare have completely ran out of steam going into the final hurdle against Dublin, and Roscommon finished strong against Dublin and finished strong against Kildare. So they are sides that tend to kick on in the final quarter, whereas Kildare have dropped off in the second half in every game that I've watched them play this year. Moving on then to Group D, and there was a return for Paddy McBrearty, but Derry keep on winning. Derry 3-14, Donegal 1-15 from Ballybofey. The 3 goals for Derry coming from Pádraig McGrogan, from Conor Doherty, and then the last one from Lachlan Murray, who palms home in the 57th minute with his first touch of the game. For Donegal, they landed their consolation goal, I should put it. Again, their attack didn't look too threatening, but Derry get the victory, 3-14 to Donegal's 1-15.
Yeah, and I think it was a like watch this one, and it was I think second half it was a kind of exhibition and counter attacking football by Derry. Really, that the speed that they broke at, Donegal couldn't really get the grips to it at all. I think like in the first half, Donegal played some good stuff. They went down in a few points down at half time, but they were showing signs as well. And then when McBrearty came on, they were still in the game as well. But look, those goals were sucker punch, and they're really, really well taken. All three of their goals that were really, really well worked as well. So, and look, Derry full value for the win. I think, yeah, I think look, Donegal probably they've a bit of work to do. They've a bit of a rebuild there a little bit, and they will be happy with the Oisin Gallen performance. I think it's rare that you see a team getting beaten as comfortably probably as what they were about 5 or 6 points, but then still having the man and match in their team. But Gallen, I think 9 points he scored, 4 from place balls between frees and marks as well. Then the rest from play, he was absolutely exceptional and finally delivering, I suppose, on I think what people have been kind of waiting the last 3 or 4 years for him to deliver. So yeah, that was a good thing to see, I suppose, from a Donegal fan perspective, that they'll be quite delighted with that. But at the same time, I think Derry were quite comfortable. Like you said as well, that goal that Donegal scored as well, that literally game was over at that stage as well. So it really just was putting kind of glass to the scoreboard as well. For Derry, yeah, look, they'll be delighted with how that went, I suppose, as well. They 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 did what they had to do. They defended quite well. I think that albeit that Gallen ran amok, but other than that, I thought they defended quite well. They won't be too concerned about a goal with about 30 seconds left to play. And and look, when the goal chances were there, I think they were pretty lethal. So yeah, look, I think they're kind of managing the whole Rory Gallagher situation quite well. They don't seem to be missing him too much. That the players know what they're doing. All of the existing work that was done is still all in place, and yeah, look, I think they're still going on. I do still have some kind of limitations about predicting Derry's success at Croke Park, but look, they're doing what they have to do at the moment anyway.
Yeah, no, they are looking good. There's no doubt about that. The other game that was on in Group D sees Monaghan secure their place in the knockout stages of the championship, beating Clare by 123 to 118 in Clonus. And really, having failed to deliver really in the Ulster Championship games, Jack McCarron stormed into this one. 9 points from McCarron, and a late goal from Conor McCarthy helped Monaghan push on for victory.
Yeah, and look, by all accounts, this was like not one I've got to see, but by all accounts, this was probably the game of the weekend. I suppose the Clare gave it a really really good rattle, and they they pushed right up on the Monaghan kickouts, which I suppose that a lot of other teams didn't do this weekend. So and they got an awful lot of joy out as well. That Rory Began had an awful lot of trouble, I suppose, in his own kickouts, and I think that probably directly contributed to Clare like being in the lead for a good portion of this game as well. That they really did kind of show a blueprint how to upset them, I suppose, a little bit, and then but essentially Monaghan's class, their caliber of forward, their ability to kick scores as well is essentially what showed and got them over the line. So yeah, no, look, by all accounts, really really good game. Some really good score taken as well. And a bit more positive football in it as well. So, look, job done for Monaghan, and look, and they got an almighty kind of test as well in here as well, and they'll be quite glad that they've got such a challenge from that Clare side.
Yeah, no, without doubt. The last thing I'll make on that is that it was a fantastically even game throughout, level 10 points each at half time. 10 minutes into the restart, Darragh Bohannon gets the goal for Clare. And it looked like they were going to bloody Monaghan up a bit, but then Stephen O'Hanlon put Monaghan back in front and the goal turbocharged them on to victory. So that's the All-Ireland Championship action wrapped up. Moving then to the Táilteann Cup, we're going to go group by group with this, starting with the action that took place on the Saturday with Group A. So these games included Cavan beating Offaly by 225 to 2-9. And no doubt a single incident that produced 2 red cards was key in the scoreline being what it was. And then another bit of a low one for Laois, 117 to 214. They drew with London at Parnell Park. That was Group A's action.
Yeah, look, I think just to start straight away on Laois in London, because there was a bit of a fallout after this as well, and just that, like, just people commenting on how far Laois had fallen, I suppose, from being Leinster finalists a couple of years ago as well, to a team that have always been there or thereabouts as well, and even up playing Division 2 football not so long ago as well. Just the nature of their fall is just so stark, and like, I know a lot of people have been rooting for Billy Sheehan coming in as well, but like it's been some tough kind of years, I suppose, the last couple for Laois, and this kind of, there was a lot of talk online that, like, you have to give London credit as well, that look, they were in a position to probably win this game, and although Laois do just kick the late score to level it up, like, it does feel like a Laois fall from grace, and that this does feel like a low moment for them as well. Like, you do have to credit London too, but like, for a team that Laois have been for the last 20 years even as well, just the nature of their fall is just like, it's very, very alarming for them. And like, that having to score a late equaliser in there as well. Like, it's not even like that you got caught going over to Ruislip as well, and that you need to get caught going away with the travel and everything too. This is London having to travel to Dublin as well. Like, it's oh, look, it is worrying. We're in signs, I think, for Laois now, though. Like, they just don't seem to be in the greatest of health right now. Their football in the county.
Yeah, no, without doubt. And then your thoughts on the Cavan Offaly situation, the 2 red cards in one instant looked a bit stupid, to be honest, watching the first replay of it, just a complete lack of discipline.
Yeah, look, it was bizarre, I suppose, and I think it's a disappointing one from Offaly as well. Is that just they were steamrolled? They were steamrolled. Like, I know Cavan are, like, to be honest here, Cavan are too good to be in the Táilteann Cup is probably the truth in it as well. I know they were in that situation last year that they faced Westmeath, and they were beaten by Westmeath. They were beaten by the better team in the Táilteann Cup final last year as well. But I think both of those teams showed that they are too good to be in the Táilteann Cup. And look, I think, like, without, yeah, you want to be kind of fair to everyone as well. But like, you talk about the senior championship that there's no real clear favourite for as well. I think Cavan are probably quite clearly the favourites for the Táilteann Cup here as well. I'd be heavily tipping them right now. Like, they just seem to be playing at a level much more beyond everyone else right now as well. And look, every time I watch Paddy Lynch as well, even the little cameos in him as well, I just think he's just absolutely class forward as well. I think they're yeah, I think they just, some of the quality, the caliber of player they have right now. I think it'd be great to see them back playing senior championship. I think they will be really soon, really soon.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've tipped Cavan from the start to take the Táilteann Cup, and feeling pretty confident about that prediction right about now, because 2 other teams that I thought would be right up there with them, they locked horns in Group B, the Group B action, mainly focusing on Meath and Down. That finished Meath 111, Down 1-9 at Parnell Park, but also Tipperary 17 points, Waterford 113 in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. So start with the Meath and Down game. What did you make of this? 2 teams that are hotly tipped to be outside contenders, apart from the main one obviously being Cavan.
Yeah, I think, to be fair to Meath, I think there was a lot of doom and gloom after Leinster. They have bounced back a good bit now since then as well. That, like, I know their performances in the Táilteann Cup, like, that Down game was always going to be a tough game, because Down, look, they have improved. Down have improved this year. Like, obviously not to a huge extent. You can't say that they're completely transformed, but they have improved so far this year. the big thing that was being levelled at Meath, I think, especially after the league and the Leinster Championship, was defensive structure, and that there's a lot of comments saying O'Rourke doesn't know what he's doing, doesn't know how to set up defence. They do seem to have corrected that in the Táilteann Cup, and look, there has been a clear change of approach that they've realised probably that they can't really get away with what they were doing, just the nature of playing, of how man to man they work. They've adapted to that, and they are starting to grind out score lines as well. But like, it's job done for me. Look, they're marching through anyway here as well. But like, yeah, look, I think they'll be quite happy with that as well. And I think it's shown that, look, O'Rourke has had to clearly become way more pragmatic than what they were originally. But yeah, look, job done for them.
Yeah, no, without doubt. And then the Tipperary Waterford game, a victory for Tipperary, but both sides exiting the championship, and definitely a lot closer than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I think the big thing that's starting to harm Tip. Look, it's just the dropout. We've talked about this probably a few times already this year, but
Yeah.
like, you talk with the dropout, you talk with Sweeney's ACL, like, you just can't lose that many players and expect them performing at as good a level. I think it's another county that is quite alarming just by the amount of player that they've lost and just the turnover every single year. Waterford really put it up to them as well, but I think at the same time, if Tipperary should be expecting to be probably winning those games more comfortably, and if they had more of their players available to them, look, we've seen based on previous years when they have had those players that they have dispatched the Waterford way more than what they're doing at the weekend. I think, look, based off what we've seen of all these teams as well, I think it's clear that the two best teams have come out of this group as well. But like, can we read too much into that Meath down game as well at the weekend? We kind of already knew that they were both coming through anyway as well. Did both of them go for too much? Not fully sure as well here. So yeah, I think, look, both of them do deserve to come out of that group as well. Can we say that they're on Cavan's level? I really, really don't think that they are.
Yeah, and then obviously in the Meath down game as well, just while we're on it, it popped up in my head. We had a fantastic comparison of refereeing standards. So we have here another comment here. Longford season ends in Newry, unfortunately, already beaten by Down in Newry in the league. Yeah, now Longford, disappointing game there against Cavan. From them, we'll get on to against Carlow. Sorry, we will get on to Longford in a minute. But just to give you a hilarious comparison of referees, in the Meath down game, the referee gets absolutely flattened by a down defender and still gives the point that Jordan Morris had took.
Yeah,
And then I'm sure you've seen the clip of Kieran
yeah.
Archer. Probably, maybe the ref is still a bit mad on coronavirus, and Kieran Archer got within his 2 meters, and he decided to give him a 96-week ban. But like, just what was that about?
Yeah, well, look, I know personally myself from having played at the same age group as well as like that. It drove me mad when I saw. Couldn't believe what I saw. That initially, the first post I saw on it, I think it was one of those GA sites on Twitter that said that he'd received a 96 week ban, and yeah, quickly the media was coming out saying that it was turned over as well. But just seeing that, and I know Moors have had to play their last 2 or 3 league games and lost all of these games without Kieran Archer as well. They've lost those games as well. The stress that would have caused as well. There was absolutely, it was a genuine attempt that I know. Look, anyone that's played the game knows that, like, referees sometimes end up in that position as well. Having been a referee myself, it's happened to me a few times as well. So people have been trying to get to the ball. You find yourself kind of caught up in a position probably where you shouldn't be standing, that you're blocking a player, and then they just give you a little nudge just to say, just in an attempt to get to the ball as well. And look, it happens. It happens. It really happens. And yeah, just when I saw that as well, and the fact that it was a 90 whatever week
6.
ban as well. That's not even the rules is that half of that would be for interfering with a referee. That's for an assault on a referee. It wasn't even that the referee felt he was interfered with. He felt he was assaulted in that incident. And look, anyone that's listening that hasn't seen this, I'd encourage you to go straight to have a look at this as well, because yeah, look, we referees obviously deserve protection and everything as well, and that people shouldn't lay their hands on the referee as well. But if we get into this sort of situation as well, it becomes dangerous. You'd encourage clubs to record every single game now at this stage as well, because if the referee's written report can hold that much power, that a player could lose 2 years of his career, face wider consequences outside of GAA as well, because forevermore, if that stood, he'd always be the man that would have assaulted a referee, 95-week ban, playing football beside his name as well, and the consequences that come with that as well. And look, I think I think we just have to be really careful with this as well. And I know, look, there's been a lot of talk about respecting referees and everything as well, which of course is correct as well. But we need to look, we do need to be careful here as well. That look, the referee's report does have to be accurate too, and that we can't have a situation where, like, I suppose that there's that I think he kind of goes out of control a little bit as well. And look, I know you have to be careful with the legal kind of side of everything here as well, but like it didn't look good. It didn't look good at all, I suppose, from looking on as well. And yeah, I suppose it's a good way to link into the weekend as well, is that there's some referees that are more common sense than others. And look, I think people in the Dublin Gaelic scene know about individuals involved and everything as well. So look, I think we'll leave it there.
Yeah. Well, like, I mean,
Yeah.
you could see it so clearly. Like, the referee in the
Yeah.
mid down game knew that the down defender didn't mean to clatter into him. He knew that he was chasing Jordan Morris, and the ref just falls over, sees the score going over from Morris, and awards it. Like, that's all. That's actually like proper funny. Like, that just makes the ref look like a bit of a legend as well. Whereas the ref in the Kieran Archer instance, I'll be honest, just looked like a power tripping ego maniac that was like, how dare you even make contact with me? Like, you know what, the way you said it there yourself, it happens in the game. Sometimes two players are running full force at each other, the ref ends up there, the player can't quite stop himself, but does a little like, get past you real quick, I'm just going to nudge your right shoulder or left shoulder so that I don't run full force into you, which is what looked like Archer did. It just did a little, oh sorry, 96 weeks for that. Come on.
Yeah, no, look, and just thankfully anyway, just prevailed here as well, because as well, at the end of the day, really, really talented footballer. I know it hasn't really worked out from Dublin at senior county level as well, but look, people in Dublin circles, like, have seen him play at club level for years, like what a player as well. And look, I'm sure he will eventually make that kind of step up into the Dublin senior panel one day.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. And delighted that that video footage has shown that nothing happened there. I mean, you watch it and all the comments are, what happened? What happened? Like, nobody can tell from the footage what actually happened. But yeah, moving back then into Táilteann Cup action. Group C, we had probably the only proper dead rubber of the weekend, apart from Tipperary Waterford. Wicklow versus Limerick. Limerick already through, Wicklow already eliminated. Wicklow 2-14, Limerick 1-10 at O'Moore Park. And just the first thing that I'm just wondering there when you're talking about that, the Wicklow game, is where was that performance against Longford? Where was that performance against Carlow in the last 25 minutes? And then speaking of Carlow, they beat Longford by 2-13 to 1-14 at O'Moore Park. You know, hugely impressive victory for Carlow there again. And I don't know, have you seen the goal from Mikey Bambrick? Absolutely fantastic. Took on 5 different Longford lads and then put it into the back of the net.
Yeah, no, look, I've only seen the highlights of this one as well, and I've seen the goal as well. But look, fantastic, I suppose, from achievement from Carl as well. Because look, based on like at the start of it there as well, probably given no real hoping as well. Longford, one of these teams that coming into the start of the year, a bit of optimism about them as well. Yeah, they didn't have the greatest of leagues, but I think probably expect to bounce back and get through out of this group as well. So that result as well, definitely, definitely going probably against the grain a little bit there and causing a few ripples. The the Limerick game, yeah, look, they've nothing to play for really. They already knew their fate. But then at the same time, you can't say looking at the team that it was too weak a team as well. They still had a lot of a lot of established players in there too. There was a lot of key men through the spine in their team. Yeah, there was a few changes, but like uh, we'll be disappointed with that as well. That like it's not really the statement that they probably do want to be making. And look, you're right as well. But like Wicklow, I think they probably, when they saw the draw, they were probably licking their lips a little bit as well in comparison to some of the other groups as well. They probably would have been looking at this targeting it as an opportunity to get through. But yeah, look, their form never really materialised in the group, and I suppose look at the end. I think look with Limerick and Carlow going through as well. I think yeah, I think it's probably don't think you'll be seeing the winner coming from the Táilteann Cup in the Táilteann Cup coming from this group. But look, for the two of them, they'll be quite happy with it as well. Limerick, obviously, if they can bounce back, I suppose, from the Wicklow game, will be a test for anyone in the competition. But yeah, they will be disappointed with the performance of the weekend.
Completely agree. Speaking of teams that might, prove to be challengers, Antrim have really, really impressed me. They beat Fermanagh by 313 to 112 in a winner take all game at the Athletic Grounds. Antrim now top that group. They beat Fermanagh while Wexford beat Leitrim 116 to 112 at Parnell Park to eliminate Leitrim. So you have Antrim, who are proving to be a lot better than we thought they were following the league. And then Leitrim, on the other hand, have had a real year from hell ever since failing to get promoted.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I think with Antrim, it's just this free score nature they have that they are racking up good tallies consistently throughout the year, I suppose. And yeah, look, I think as well, Fermanagh were probably the team that I think going in, you could nearly be looking at them as contenders as well. I think going in as well, they seem to be having a good year as well. They did perform, I suppose, in Ulster too. I would have said as well. So the fact that their performance, I suppose, so far and here as well has been quite disappointing. But yeah, look for Antrim as well. It's a huge result for them too. And then you look at Wexford as well. Wexford football been in the absolute doldrums for years. So a few positive results from as well. Although look, not probably going to be the most unbelievable of opposition ever as well. But look, they will be delighted with how that went.
Yeah, without doubt. And then the other game, Leitrim Wexford.
Yeah, no, look, and that's the thing. It's like Wexford. I think it's just for them. Like football has just gone so low in Wexford the last couple of years that I suppose just to finally see them performing a little bit to what we've seen from in previous years as well. It is big as well. Look, can't say I didn't see this game at all really, and like sure as well with the coverage of it as well. There's very little on it too, but just to see the kind of progress being made there a little bit as well. Leitrim had all this optimism with Andy Moore coming through as well. And look, I'm right in saying that it is Wexford that progressed through as the second place team, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So look,
But
it's
Wexford now.
Antrim
Wexford plays awfully now.
yeah. So look, I think Antrim and Wexford coming through there as well. I think you could have nearly made an argument. I think at the start of at the start of the competition that you could have said that you could have said it would have been Fermanagh and Leitrim being the two teams to come through this group as well. So I do think look, it probably doesn't go to a bit of surprise, I suppose, as well here with how it's played out in the end.
Yeah, well, just to inform anybody watching, the Táilteann Cup quarterfinals, the preliminary quarterfinals to be exact, is Offaly versus Wexford, Fermanagh versus Laois, Down versus Longford, and Carlow versus New York. So some interesting games there, certainly to keep an eye on. Switching codes then to the hurling, and we're going to briefly talk about the two games which happened in Thurles. And the first thing I'll say is clearly 222 appeared to be the lucky number because both sides came out the right side. We're going to start with the All-Ireland Under 20 final. Cork 222, Offaly 313 in Thurles. And funnily enough, when I was doing my research for this, if you go onto the official website, they actually have the score wrong as of this taping right now. They say 213 to Offaly. So not doing Offaly the best of service there. But yeah, no doubt, fantastic result for Cork. Ben Cunningham leading the way with 10 points. Michael Mullins and Diarmuid Healy with the goals. Predictably, Adam Screeney leading the way for Offaly with 8 points. Fantastic performance from him. And just a fantastic game of hurling from two sides that are going to bring a lot of senior stars of the future.
Yeah, and look, I think first thing I think to comment on was the narrative. I think largely online is the physicality the Cork brought to this game, and it did border on the edge at times. I thought in the first half they really did rough up Offaly, I suppose, and there was some heavy hits in there as well. I know Cormac Egan goes off with the cracked ribs and stuff. And look, I think look for the penalty incident. Yeah, Offaly win the penalty as well, but Shane Kingston did have to be sent off for that incident as well. With the head high tackle that he did lift the elbow into the helmet, probably should have been sent off. Few other instances as well. So every time Adam Screen he got in the ball, he was probably being pulled across. But this is the argument is that, like, yeah, Offaly fans very, very unhappy about it. But like, what have we said about Cork in recent years? What's been holding them back is that they're too soft, too nice a touch as well. That they don't have that killer instinct that Limerick had. And Jesus, that team at the weekend had that killer instinct. And that, I thought the moment that really showed up for it was every time that Offaly managed to turn their man in the forward line as well, there was a Cork defender there ready to make that tackle as well. They didn't care if they were pulling them down and stuff like that as well. Yeah, it's a bit cynical and yeah, it doesn't look great. But you look at the second half, ball's thrown straight in there as well. Michael Mullins wins the throw in, and he sets off from the halfway line, runs the entire length of the field, skipping through defenders without an absolute defender laying a glove on him, and then buries it to the back of the net as well. I just thought that showed the contrast. Is that yeah, people complain about teams being too physical or too cynical and everything as well, but Cork are the team with the championship in their hands as well. Like you look in football, Dublin with the 6 in a row winning team, they didn't give a shit, I suppose, when it came to making those cynical plays. Limerick, the current hurlers as well, they don't care about when they have to make those big tackles as well. Yeah, neutrals aren't going to like you for it as well, but you're the team that comes out with a trophy. And look, I think Cork in the first half, they came out really, really physical, really went out to bully what they knew was going to be a small Offaly team that are pretty early in their development. That's what they did. And then the second half, I think they turned on the style and played some lovely, lovely stuff. And yeah, look, like you said, absolutely some players in the team from both sides that, look, for certain are going to be starters in both of these teams going forward in the coming years.
Yeah, without doubt. I mean, Ben Cunningham's the main one for me from the Cork side, and Adam Screeney from Offaly is the main. They're the main two out of this game that I can't wait to see how they get on going into their senior setups in the future. And the All-Ireland minor final then also took place in Thurles, was the curtain raiser for the under-20 final. It saw Clare go up against Galway, and it finished Clare 222, Galway 411. So again, 222, as I said, appears to be the winning scoreline. Owen Gunning was fantastic for Clare. So is Mark O'Brien hitting 7 points, James Hegarty and Fanning with the goals for the Banner County, whereas Galway got their goals from Cullen Killeen with 2, Jason Rabbit and Harry Holmes, with Aaron Ireland hitting 8 of their 11 points. Again, a very, very high quality game of hurling.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think coming into this as well, that Galway side were really, really talked up coming in as well. I know a lot of people in Galway were talking about this team as a generational sort of team. I know Galway have won plenty of All-Ireland minors in recent years, but there's a lot of talk about this team as well coming in. So, look, I think that just shows that Clare kind of did come in. I think Galway probably were the favourites coming in. I think a lot of people are looking at that full forward line as well with Jason Rabbit and Aaron Ireland, that these are just two unbelievable prospects in there as well. Players that, like, it's very, very early to talk about future potential players, but two players that are showing huge amounts of promise as well. But you mentioned there as well, Gunning in cornerback for Clare as well was absolutely outstanding. He's the man of the match by a mile. Really, really good cornerback play from him. And yeah, they won those matchups in there as well. And yeah, I think Clare are full value for it as well. And yeah, it's very, very difficult to project players, I suppose, when you're that young as well. But there's the whole physical side to it as well. But
We appear to have lost Luke on the other side. Is he coming back? Yeah, I can hear noise coming through, Luke, but yeah, no, you were nearly finished your point anyway. We were so close. We made it to 49 minutes. Had no lagging, but here we are. We've managed to make it to nearly 50 minutes without a lag, but we managed to get caught right at the death. All right, you're back. But yeah, guys, we will wrap it up there. Luke's connection right back in time for the send off. we are going to call it there. Thank you so much, guys, for giving us your time today on this episode of Play on GAA. Thank you so much to Luke as well. Good chat. And until next one, guys, take care.